After all the hype that you've heard over the course of the last 2 years about the Coloradans for Responsible Wildlife Management, we're proud to announce our new venture, the Women of Conservation Calendar, that showcases and celebrates the women that helped defeat Proposition 127. 14 months of the calendar of all of the women that helped, plus more, the convention dates, deadlines, draw application dates, commission meetings, and things going on at the Colorado State Capitol. This is an opportunity to support CRWM and the efforts that we continually work on through the Colorado State Capitol, Colorado Parks and Wildlife Commission, and to address all of the ballot issues that continually arise. We've got some fantastic sponsors that help prop up and just showcase who these women are. Rodeo queens, barrel racers, houndswomen, general sportsmen, mothers, and every avocation you could think, from archery hunting to muzzleloading to rifle hunting and waterfowl as well. These women stuck their necks out to help save the hunt. Get it for yourself. It makes a great gift. Make sure you get it before Christmas, and look at all the other important dates that are coming up. $24.95, SaveTheHuntColorado.com. If you're looking to explore your opportunities to hunt out west, maybe try Colorado. If you're trying to get information about bighorn sheep, elk, deer, private land, public land, maybe it's everything that you want to do as far as pack-in trips. Maybe it's just having a pack trip decided for you, and then when you get there, you just hunt out of a drop camp. Make sure you check out the Colorado Outfitters Association. Colorado Outfitters Association here in the state of Colorado has got a numerous amount of outfitters that are members, and they can supply you with whatever you're looking to try to acquire and what you want to do for the hunt of a lifetime. For more information, check out the coloradooutfitters.org, and make sure that you let them know that you heard about them with Through the Gates, and let them know that you're trying to continue to save the hunt in the state of Colorado. We always talk about supporting businesses that support our efforts to be able to save the hunt in Colorado. Well, the Colorado Shed Company in Penrose, Colorado, just outside Canyon City, is one of those partners. Colorado Shed has been building sheds in the state of Colorado for the last 10 years and is actually owned by sportsmen and women. They support the efforts of what the Coloradans for Responsible Wildlife Management has done, and they also support all the organizations that you're probably a member of. Whether you're looking for small modular type buildings, sheds for your property to store the extra hunting equipment, or maybe just to turn around and put that freezer in for all the meat that you've got, check out Colorado Sheds. They also do pole barns and can do custom manufacturing to whatever your heart desires. She sheds, man caves, it doesn't matter. Check out coloradosheds.com. Through the Gates is produced under the support of the Coloradans for Responsible Wildlife Management to enhance, promote, and defend the North American model of wildlife conservation and responsible wildlife management. That's our mission. We're engaged in fighting at every level so that wildlife management remains science-based and conservation continues to work for our wildlife. To learn more and join the movement, visit SaveTheHuntColorado.com. The North American model of wildlife conservation is the greatest conservation model in the world. It's a success story that should be shared and celebrated because everybody is a part of it. Well, we've got a little bit of an update with Through the Gates. Through the Gates to save the hunt. And obviously we're gaining some significant traction on different levels and different landscapes, and you can tell by the amount of people that are following through with purchasing the calendars and supporting the raffle that SCI is doing, where we have a mountain lion hunt that is donated by Whitaker Brothers Outfitting. And we've also got a buffalo hunt and processing that is supplied by the Elk Mountain Cattle Company Downary family, and along with Brian and Susie Dieter of Hilltop Custom Meat Processing in Canyon City. Both of those are $50 a piece, or you can get 3 tickets for $100. And all the finances off of that, all the proceeds go to helping to continue to save the hunt here in the state of Colorado, defeat the animal rights extremists, and make sure that we can continue to support the North American model of wildlife conservation in perpetuity. And that being said, if you haven't paid attention, well, that's under attack. It's under attack at such a marvelous rate that organizations from around the country, just like people that testify at the Colorado Parks and Wildlife Commission in opposition of science-based wildlife management, continually to spout their lack of wisdom and use talking points that are redundant and over
by being able to turn around and not think for themselves and to create this redundant, mind-blowing rhetoric that is constantly over and over and over. And if you've watched the commission meeting or been there in person over the last several months, you can see what I'm talking about. It's almost like these people have a lobotomy and they can't think for themselves, and they are, they're uneducated, and they are not in scope and understanding of what science-based wildlife management is, which under the North American model includes harvest. Now, they don't like the word harvest because they think harvesting is going out and gathering sunflowers and a kale and oranges or whatever. But harvest is actually a component of the North American model of wildlife conservation and science-based wildlife management. And the reason that all of that was created to make sure that we have wildlife populations in perpetuity, and that the states and the federal government can make the decisions based upon the sportsman contribution, the dollars that come in from hunting and fishing licenses. That also provide an excise tax based upon Pittman Robertson and Dingell Johnson of the 30s and 50s, where the excise tax is paid by hunting and fishing licenses, or the taxes that go along with that, incorporated into ammunition sales and firearm sales and archery equipment and fishing equipment and a variety of other things that fall into that. A lot of the target shooters pay into this. Target shooters pay into the North American model because of the excise taxes. Now, there's people that want to disband the excise taxes, and there's people that want to disregard the North American model. But that's one reason why CRWM's mission to enhance, promote, and defend the North American model of wildlife conservation and responsible wildlife management is the cornerstone of what we've been able to capitalize on since our inception back in 2016, and how we've been able to be undefeated all the way till now. And I want to highlight that, but undefeated till now on a variety of different levels of the Colorado Parks and Wildlife Commission, the Colorado General Assembly, and a couple times on the ballot. The latest of which were Ordinance 308 in the city and county of Denver last year in 2024, which was the fur ban, which would have banned the sale of cowboy hats, fishing lures, and Native American crafts as well. And also Proposition 127, which, as you well know, was the mountain lion and bobcat attempted ban, and as you remember, lynx as well. So we got a little bit of an update and trying to keep people apprised. We've had some really good podcasts that have come out over the last month or so. And I want to thank those guests. We want to thank the sponsors that we've got. And we want to make sure that people have the opportunity to stay apprised and keep moving forward in promoting science-based wildlife management and arguing the fact that we are part of the ecosystem. I and you, whether you're a bird watcher or a dog walker, or a sportsman and woman, or just a target shooter, maybe you're a rancher, you are part of the North American model of wildlife conservation. And they don't like that. They don't like us to be part of anything. They think that everything should be turned back to the rewilding conversation and let everything be able to live without us. And I don't know how you guys feel, but that's not going to happen unless a meteorite strikes the earth in some giant form or fashion. But we are in a position where it's us against them, and their opinions are holistic and organic, and ours are knuckle dragging and Neanderthal-like. Ask them. They'll tell you that what we do is antiquated. This is not the 1800s, and we shouldn't live like it is. I think that most people, and it's obvious by the amount of people that go to the meat department at grocery stores, how many people harvest game. There's a lot more people out there that believe that we are part of the ecosystem and that we should be able to turn around and supply for ourselves through a regulated harvest, regulated by science, by game management agencies that are funded through hunting and fishing licenses. And I'm kind of riled up about this because we just got over with our ending dual meeting conversation on the Furbearer Management Group, the working group that was created, where we had a plethora of individuals from each side of the conversation, a lot from our side, a lot from their side, but we met for about, I guess it was a total of about 4 months, 2 meetings, joint meetings with Now what we've called each other is Group 1 and Group 2, or maybe it's A and B, I guess. Either way, nobody could agree on what we should call ourselves, let alone each other. Well, I think we had a lot of names for each other, but that wasn't going to be definitive on how you were going to identify anybody when it came to commission information and trying to create an action item for them to be able to guide their decision-making process based upon the recommendations of the facilitator that would be then facilitated and synthesized and processed through Colorado Parks and Wildlife, which we will likely see probably early in 2026 and see how that formulates out. But anyway, we had the meeting, and it was more of we thought it was going to be a compilation of all the discussions that have been had over the course of the last, 4 months. And there was one component I think caught people off guard on both sides. Now, not the ones that suggested this, but there was about 3 slides out of 15 or so that were dedicated to coyotes. Coyotes, to the other side of the aisle, the B group, is a species of major concern. Now, coyotes on our side was way down on the totem pole. We agreed that swift fox and pine marten and ringtail cats and maybe gray fox and beavers and bobcats could be part of the upper level, the enhanced conversation of what needed to be addressed or at least talked about when it came to a Furbearer management group. Now, keep in mind that beavers are not part of this conversation because there is a beaver management working group, beaver management plan that is in the process. And that information will be distributed to the public here shortly for the public to be able to process and provide public comment. And as that comes out, we will be making sure that all of you are up to speed and brought on board about how to engage in the public comment process to make sure that we have input from agriculture producers and wildlife control operators and municipality organizers and water treatment facilities and utility companies and railroads and sportsmen and women. A lot of people that have interest in beaver management. Then there's also going to be an opportunity for the public to engage in the conversation that will happen from Colorado Parks and Wildlife and how the commission decides to work on a beaver management plan that could be instituted over the course of the next 12 to 14 or 16 months or whatever. Maybe they jump the gun and they do it in February. I don't know. But either way, it's going to have the opportunity for public comment, and we're going to ever so increasingly encourage people to participate. I had to wet my whistle. I have a little bit of a cold from the dust, and it was 84 degrees in Canyon City today, and it doesn't seem like mid-November. But I digress. So moving forward, the working groups for both sides will come up with some sort of a plan of action, probably during the first and second quarter of next year. What I would encourage people to do, I would encourage people to pay attention, because if coyotes are going to continually work their way up through the food chain on the level of interest and curiosity in this process, agriculture producers and sportsmen and women, if you're concerned about cow-calf recruitment or fawn-doe recruitment, or you're concerned about upland game birds, or ranchers and farmers concerned about sheep and baby calves, if you're concerned about that, pay attention, because Mark Searles with Project Coyote is steadfast in making sure that the emotional side and the public opinion side are part of these conversations when it comes to individual species. Now, if you listen to some of these individuals from Group B, they want to talk about individual animals. Every individual animal counts. Now, I'm not saying that it doesn't, but it doesn't in the practical general sense of managing species. An individual animal, one animal, does not constitute a crisis to be able to turn around and worry about an individual, an entire species, one individual animal. Some of our counterparts from Group B differ from that. They don't believe in that. They think that every single animal matters and counts. Doesn't matter what it is, doesn't matter the health of it, doesn't matter the gender, doesn't matter what sort of a background it has or what sort of a lifestyle it has, it matters. I, for one, think that that's hogwash. I think it's BS. Individual animals don't matter because we're concerned about the species. The classification, whether it's game animal, whether it's non-game animal, whether it's threatened and endangered, I'm concerned about an individual species of animals, not one. I think Mike Rosenoff of 850 KO used to say, well, if it only saved one life, wouldn't it matter? And he would go, no, it doesn't. Everybody should not pay the price or try to get the benefit because of one animal. And I think that there's nothing further from what we've seen over the last 12 or 14, 16, 18 months about pedestalizing individual animals, and by bringing wolves in and pedestalizing a species over other species, I think is wrong. And I think by pedestalizing one wolf out of a group of 30, I think is wrong. I think we should be concerned about the 30. To be concerned about the 30, you need to be concerned about the welfare and the well-being of all 30, but not individually. One should not take precedent over the other. Now, my opposition is going to completely disagree with that statement. They will not concede the fact that a yellow blade of grass in a golf course does not make the golf course ugly or distinctively different from the surrounding grasses. The golf course itself, the pristine golf course or the playing field, is what the groundskeepers and the landscapers are concerned about. The entire thing, not the one blade of grass. And the wildlife managers of Colorado Parks and Wildlife, the scientists, the everyday boots on the ground individuals that are caring for 961 species of wildlife, not counting all the invertebrates of 4,000 or 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 invertebrates that have been added to the plate over the course of the last 18 months. The scientists and the biologists are concerned with species. And rightly so, because they know what the hell they're talking about. And if you listen to some of our opposition, and you listen to what they say and how they say it, I don't believe they know what the hell they're talking about. They just go on emotion and they go on factless statements and conclusions and talk about things that happened way in the past that didn't have anything to do with what we're currently dealing with right now. Commission meeting, I talked about it during the last week's update podcast, is on Thursday and Friday in Sterling. It's worth paying attention to the agenda, even though there's not a copious amount of things on there that are going to be so mind-blowing with revelations that would make you wish you were there. I will tell you that if you're not there and you watch it, you'll wonder why you even watched it. And if you decide to go there, you'll probably wonder why you went. But it's about a half a day on Friday. It's a full day on Thursday. And they will have some executive sessions, and they will talk about some individual real estate projects and fee title acquisitions in the Southeast region. They'll talk about bighorn sheep licenses and specific game management units like S35, and then also combining sheep hunt codes and game management units S1 and S18, along with removing hunt code for bighorn sheep in 7901, creating pronghorn licenses in data analysis unit 80 or A22, and creating the second antlerless season and data analysis unit, which is DAU for those of you that have not paid attention, DA unit A3. And when you get into elk, also modifying the second and third season bull elk licenses from unlimited over-the-counter to limited game management units 54, 55, and 551 over in the Gunnison Basin. And then also removing antler point restrictions in game management 82 for elk, and modifying hunt codes for the first and fourth rifle seasons in DAU E2, and creating a private land only hunt code in DAU E13. Creating private land only archery hunt codes in DAU 20 and 35. Now those are all under elk. For deer, creating a first rifle buck hunt code in DAU 30 and creating a private land only deer hunt code in game management 682. Now, That might not sound like that big of a deal, but these are the steps of where they're going to be ending up going for a lot of the conversations come March and May of next year. There'll be a hell of a presentation. Anybody who's familiar with Mr. Andy Holland, Colorado Parks and Wildlife's big game manager, Andy's a great guy and knows his stuff when it comes to specific species like bighorn sheep. There's going to be a bighorn sheep status update. That's at 1:40 on the first day, on Thursday. And then there'll also be open for final review of regulatory changes to implement Senate Bill 25053, including rules differentiating between wild bison as big game and domestic bison, and the future regulated hunting of wild bison and the payment of compensation for damage caused by wild bison. This comes from the Senate bill that was enacted upon in 2025, number 053. And so if you're interested in that, mostly has to do with the northwest part of the state and how that is laid out because of buffalo or bison crossing over from Utah. Previously, they were somewhat unprotected, and now that will be different, and they are creating that component. There'll also be a deal about adjusting the license fees and license agent commission rates according to the Denver Aurora Consumer Price Index, and also increasing the backcountry search and rescue fees that we all pay on our licenses. So that's kind of an overview, a little bit of a breakaway from the first thing. And what I would say is between the Furbearer Management Group, between the conversations that are happening behind the scenes, and between what Colorado Parks and Wildlife has to do on a regular basis, there are tons of things that we have to figure out a way, maybe not to counter, but at least to acknowledge that there are certain people taking advantage of, and rightly so, I'm sure that we would probably do that likely the same way, but they're taking advantage of certain appointments and positions and elected officials that are more sympathetic to their causes. And I'm talking about the Sierra Club, I'm talking about Humane World for Animals, Animal Welfare Action, the Colorado Nature League, Project Coyote, the Mountain Lion Project, you name it. There's a group out there for something that is trying to derail, defund, disband, and disregard Colorado Parks and Wildlife as the managing agency to be able to take care of our natural resources in the state of Colorado, specifically wildlife, and to manage our state parks. And all of that goes into habitat and conservation. It goes into recreation. It goes to water and air and oil and gas. And it all falls under the Department of Natural Resources. So we're going to have an update. We'll have a couple really good podcasts coming up over the course of the next 3 or 4 weeks. Make sure you watch the one on Friday, which is this coming Friday. I think you'll be very, very interested in that. And continue to follow us on Through the Gates, like and subscribe and share. And make sure you buy a calendar. We need some funds to keep us floating along, however we need to be floated, for our lobbying representation, for fighting the fight and keeping us at least solvent and having legitimate representation for sportsmen and women in the state of Colorado. So until next time, stay the course. Aim small, miss small. Look forward to seeing you. And don't forget to be safe and finish up your hunting season in your harvest of big game, small game, or fur bearers in the state of Colorado. If you want to support a company that supported the efforts to defeat Proposition 127, then you need to support Davis Tent. Davis Tent has provided quality canvas goods for outdoorsmen for the last 50 plus years. For more information, go to davistent.com. If you want to support another business that was instrumental in helping us defeat Proposition 127, check out Salida Gun Shop. Salida Gun Shop in Salida, Colorado provides quality products, expertise, and knowledge from individuals that actually do what they sell. Go to salidagunshop.com. Listen to the advice of Cameron Haynes and support companies that are supporting your cause and your efforts. Minturn Anglers is one of those companies. Minturn Anglers provides product and fishing excursions in Colorado and are second to none. For more information, go to minturnanglers.com.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of Through the Gates. For more content like this, make sure that you like, follow, and subscribe on all of our channels.